Always busy.
What
Always
is slowing down? Welcome to another episode. What podcast is this? Welcome to another episode of the Music City Drive-In, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network. I am your host, Ricky Valero. Sorry for that beginning, folks. I always forget. Matthew Fox and I normally are doing the Fantasy Football Happy Hour podcast with a cheap plug there. But on today's episode of the Music City Drive-In, I figured what better person than the person that I think watches just about more television than anybody that I know to join us for the top 10 best TV shows of 2021. He's probably going to laugh at half of my list, but for me personally, folks, those listening at home, I typically only watch pilots and review pilots. If a show perks my interest is enough, then I kind of dive deep into the entire show. But I watch a lot more movies than I do TV, obviously, but what I'll probably spend the month of January doing is catching up on a lot of the shows that I haven't seen yet. That's typically what I do every year. But with that being said, without further ado, I'm joined by my co-host here today, Mr. Matthew Fox. How are you, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, those that follow know that I do the pilot and second episode. I'm somewhat similar to you in that if something piques my interest, I'll keep going with it. But I also have a few long-time shows that I've been following. I probably watch too much stuff. That's what my wife would say.
Yeah, I do too. I don't have time always to really binge watch, and I'm trying to do so much at one time already, as my wife would tell me. But with that being said, I'm excited to do this because whenever I thought about it, I was like, man, we need to do some best of TV show recaps. We're going to do a best movie show coming up very soon. But I want this just between me and you because I was like roughly 20-ish plus full season series. And I've watched some bad TV this year. So narrowing it down to my best, I really enjoyed. You know what? I'm going to put you on the spot right there. What is the worst pilot you watched this year? Or just off the top of your head?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'd have to probably go back. I have you'll appreciate this from my reporting days. I have this reporter's notebook. This is where I track pilots and I have the grades, and you can see if I line it out, that means I watched the two, I wrote about it, and there was no chance I was continuing. And then if I star them, you're going through. There have been so many horrific shows. I'd have to look. I know there's a few things that I gave like F's to earlier in the year.
I'll tell you what, there's one show that I loved for like the first, I don't remember how many episodes it was, maybe 7. Well, actually the first 2 episodes were solid. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th were kind of meandering, and then like the 6th and 7th were really strong. And then the season finale just completely ruined the entire show for me, and that was Clickbait. I really liked that show a whole lot. And then the big reveal was terrible. That's one that I really kind of was annoyed by this year.
You know what? I when I was scanning this thing, I just came across. I forgot. I watched. I will watch pilots of pretty much everything. Those of you that read the thing, I forgot about they remade Yellowstone, which is a cartoon, Yogi Bear. And I was like, well, this will probably be good. And I know it's supposed to be aimed at kids. I checked. The first episode is some kind of meta exploration where Yogi ends up eating all of his friends in a fit of rage. He eats them all, and then they have to explode something so that he vomits them all back up. And I thought, this is not what I was looking for from my Yogi Bear. And I don't know what kind of conversation you'd have to have with the 5-year-old that you thought you were showing a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
That's definitely interesting. I know there's one show that I didn't love the pilot of that I know you like the show. It might even be on your top 10, and that was Shmoogadoogadoon or whatever it was called. So I was definitely not a fan of that one. But it's probably on your top 10, so that's why it's going to be interesting to maybe talk about. Maybe it's not, but who knows? We're not going to tell you until now. Folks, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth throughout our top 10. So Matthew Fox is going to hit us with his 10 through 8. Then I'm going to hit you with my 10 through 8. Then Fox is going to hit you with the 7 through 5. I'm going to hit you with the 7 through 5, 4 through 2, 4 through 2, and then we're going to do the big reveal of what our number 1 TV show of the year is. Mr. Fox, I'm going to let you kick us off here and give us your 10, 9, and 8 TV shows of the year.
Yeah, so my number 10, I am going with Only Murders in the Building. It was a comedy that was on Hulu. I thought the pilot was very engaging. It's Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, which doesn't seem like a triumvirate that you'd put together, but it just works really well. Loved Amy Ryan's part in there. They had a good cast. Had a very fun style, a lot of fun humor. I really appreciated the mystery down to the end and the way it sets up for a season 2. That was probably one of my surprises. Number 9, Apple TV Plus, having a hell of a year. It is Schmigadoon. I know that you did not take it, didn't cotton to it like I did. It's basically a musical send up of musicals, and there is episodes. It's only 6 episodes. They're each about a half hour. I burned through it in a day with my wife. She'd never cared that I was a critic or anything until I got the Apple TV screeners for Schmigadoon. And then she was like, this whole thing might work out for me. But Keegan-Michael Key and Cecily Strong are the leads in there. The whole cast is great. Alan Cumming, Christian Chenoweth, Fred Armisen. My favorite episode is number 4, where Cecily Strong essentially teaches reproductive anatomy set to the tune of Doe Adir from The Sound of Music. It can't be unheard. It was simply fantastic. So that one made it in there for me. And then number 8, it's not quite done. Of course, they couldn't manage to finish it inside the calendar year of 2021, but it's Yellowstone season 4. I love Taylor Sheridan. I love his writing. I just watched the first couple for 1883, the new spinoff with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, and it's really good. But Yellowstone, I was into it a little bit the first season. It's just kept pulling me in. We left season 3 on a huge cliffhanger, had to wait 18 months, and that season 4 premiere was more than worthwhile. It's basically The Godfather with cowboys. So I know that may not appeal to everyone, but I just love Kevin Costner in that role. Kelly Riley is incredible. I love Luke Grimes as his son, Casey, and Cole Hauser as Rip. It's just got a great cast, and I'm really enjoying this season.
Yeah, I've never watched Yellowstone. I do know that you've talked a lot of the good things about it. There's 4 seasons. I'm already behind, so I'll put it on my radar at some point in the near future. Only Murders in the Building is one of the shows that I really wish that I watched fully. I do plan on binging it because I do know that it looks good. It looks good. It looks like it's a lot of fun, and that's the kind of TV that I really, 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 really love to see. But with that being said, my 10 is Outer Banks. I know that show's not the be-all, end-all for some of you guys, but I loved it. I thought it was a great season, and that's why I wanted to put something that I really enjoyed that I could highlight that might not be the best well-made TV of the year, but it's something that I personally enjoyed. Coming in at number 9, I've got Loki, my favorite series of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe this year. They did some good they did some decent television this year. The very decent WandaVision, and then the very mediocre and very just Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then of course Loki really topped it off. I've only watched the first, I think, 2 episodes of Hawkeye, so I can't really go into detail about that, but I've heard that it's got good, it's meandering a little bit, but then it got good before the finale. I really don't know. I can't wait to check it out because, again, I just don't really have a whole lot of time. But my number 8 is The Morning Show. Apple TV strong. I don't understand. There's a lot of hate around season 2 of The Morning Show. Matthew Fox and I have talked about it several different times where I know we both kind of enjoyed the season. And I do think that I said before everybody watched it that I do think that the controversy around Steve Carell's character and how they did that storyline was going to really kind of turn people off. But I thought the show was pretty well done, and I really enjoyed the entire season. I'm looking forward to season 3 to see what they have. And I really feel like Billy Crudup is really one of my favorite characters to watch on that show. Like, the entire cast is strong, but Crudup, I just think, brings an extra layer of kind of like sleazy. You know what I mean? He's like a sleazy guy. But, when you have those sleazy type of characters, how they portray themselves or how they act within those roles really kind of stand out. And I really loved him in that. So that's my 10, 9, and 8. Fox, hit me with your 7, 6, and 5.
Yeah, and before I go, Outer Banks, I love the season 1. Season 2, I didn't resonate as strong, but I watched. I'm curious to see where they go. Marvel killing it with the live action, and the morning show was actually my toughest cut. It just missed. It was number 11 for me. I did like it. We watched it. I think it helped us. We watched it in a vacuum before. We weren't watching it week to week where everyone's just taking big dumps on it and you start considering if you have any sense of taste. Number 7 for me is Mayor of Easttown. That was an HBO mystery. I loved Kate Winslet in the role. I thought it was a little bit heartbreaking, but kind of surprising in some of the ways that they did it. I was engaged by the mystery. I was engaged by some of the creative decisions that they made. I thought she did a really good job in the lead there. Number 6 for me is the show Bosch. This was its final season. It's gone 7 seasons on Amazon Prime. It was actually it's old enough that it was one of the pilots that Amazon had released when they used to do all the pilots and let people vote to see if they wanted to make them into shows. I remember watching it as part of a pilot season and being really taken with the pilot and thinking, I love this. It's never going to get made as a show because that's how half of those Amazon pilot seasons went. It came from one of the guys who worked on The Wire, Eric Overmyer. It's based on the Michael Connelly novels. Titus Welliver is incredible as the role of Harry Bosch as a detective. I love Jamie Hector and Lance Reddick in there as well. It's not truly over. The series Bosch is over, but they set up at the end for what's going to be a spinoff of him and his daughter, played by Madison Lintz. And I was really interested in that. But I thought it was a very strong final season. If you've not seen Bosch, I think it's one of the hidden gems on Amazon. And then number 5, we're up to 5, I think, right? 7, 6, yeah, 5 is Hawkeye. I am really enjoying it. Are you checking the math? I have to check the math too. It's hard when you do them in these sets of 3. Yeah, so it's Hawkeye. And that is number 5. I really like Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld in here. Florence Pugh has been great the last couple of episodes. I like how it's tying into the larger world, where we're going to see Kingpin and some of the pieces out of the old Marvel shows that were on Netflix. So it's been pretty exciting. Hawkeye is a character you haven't really learned that much about. Arguably, the worst of the Avengers movies is Age of Ultron, but one of the interesting parts of that is when you learn a little bit more about Hawkeye and his family, so I'm glad they were able to go back into that. There's been some really emotionally resonant moments, and I've really enjoyed that. I think all of the live action ones from Marvel have been good this year. I liked Falcon the Winter Soldier a little more than you. The only one that I struggled a little bit with was What If, the animated one, which had some moments but just didn't have a consistent through line.
Yeah, I had no interest in watching that at all, and I still have no interest in watching that at all. All right, so 10-9-8. So I'm on my turn. 7-6-5. Here we go. This really, like, the meat of this right now is very hard. Once we get from like this range here, my top 7 was hard, but I think 1 and 2 and 3 were solidified. But coming at number 7 for me was Ted Lasso season 3. Strong season. I really enjoyed it. I didn't like the trend of what Apple TV screeners are doing to us, where they release all the episodes except for X, Y, and Z. So I got a little bit behind on it because I was trying to catch up on some other things. But Ted Lasso season 3 packed a seriously strong punch. I think it has potential to go down as one of the best shows of all time. I'm glad they're ending it on season 4. I love that these shows are realizing that it's time to cut the ties. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that some of these shows are prolonged for far too long. Which, speaking of the next show coming in at number 6 for me, is Succession season 3. This probably would have been higher if I would have had a little bit more care on certain aspects of the show. It's a strong show, but season 3 reminded me of like season 2 and 3 of The Walking Dead, where like they opened with a bang and then they kind of meandered and then they end with like a super duper big bang to set up for the following season. The Walking Dead reeled me in twice in that, and then I stopped watching it because I was like, enough with the lies, okay? The entire season sucked except for the last episode. But Succession season 3, strong end of the show. Very excited for what's ahead. Number 5 for me, Midnight Mass. Phenomenal show. Still a show that I think about, and it resonated a lot with me. Some of the best dialogue-driven show that we've seen this year. There's just a few other shows I like just a little bit more. It was very hard. This was one of those ones that was hard for me to figure out where I was ranking, but I was happy that it kind of made it into my top 5. All right, Fox, 4, 3, and 2.
Yeah, we'll try to do better on the numbers here. And I actually have a couple of the same, obviously not Succession because I don't watch that. Number 4 for me is WandaVision. To me, it's still my favorite of the live action Marvel ones that we've had this year. I love Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany in the role. I thought Catherine Hahn was great. I had no idea what it was going to be about and almost no expectations based on the trailer. And maybe that helped and maybe that's why it stuck with me. But I love the creativity of the different sitcom genres and eras, and as you're trying to figure out. But then when you get down the backstretch, it had some of the most beautiful and emotionally resonant moments, especially between those two and the meditation on grief and loss. And I thought it was very profound. It made a huge impact and has still stuck with me. And that's probably for all 4 of the ones that I have up in my last 4, it's that huge emotional connection. If you pulled tears, you made it into the top 4, which leads me to number 3, which is Ted Lasso season 2. Just some beautiful moments and then some really heartbreaking moments. They had one of the best Christmas episodes I think I've ever seen, Carol of the Bells. I really loved the arc for Sam this season. I recapping the episodes, I watched each one 2 or 3 times, and I just dearly loved it. It was heartbreaking to see Nate's heel turn, but you could see that coming even the way they were setting it up in season 1. He had some tendencies. And I like that they weren't afraid to go a little bit darker. I know people said it was a little too upbeat and happy, but I don't really have a problem with a show that wants to be happy and lighthearted. We have enough dour things, and plus real life has been sort of dour. I love Ted Lasso and his ability to forgive and to love other people despite their flaws has been consistently moving to me in the past 2 years. And I think you saw it again in this season, which was a little bit harder for him. And number 2 for me was Midnight Mass. I was completely blown away by the writing and the performances. Zach Gilford, I just really loved his episode, his arc and the episode where he takes Kate Siegel's character out into the boat and is talking to her. And the end of that, I mean, I had to take a break from watching it. I was trying to burn through them. I didn't love the ending episode maybe as much as I thought it really hit a zenith for me in the middle. Those exchanges between Guilford and Hamish Linklater were just incredible and very emotional, very powerful for me.
Yeah. Speaking a little bit on Lasso as well, for some reason I think I said season 3. I don't know. Maybe I'm tired. Season 2, but I'll correct that. But I do think Ted Lasso also handled mental health better than 99% of what we get put in front of us as far as that goes too. I love the way that they're willing to tackle that in a way that doesn't make it like, sure, like Ted Lasso was all of us like, I'm fine until I realize I'm not fine. But it's okay to seek out that help and get that. So coming in number 4 for me is a show I'm very happy that you put Hawkeye on here because it made me feel better for not having a show that's not officially complete. I got 2 episodes left on this show, or 3 episodes maybe, of this show, which is Dexter New Blood. We all know how Dexter ended. We all were disgruntled about how it ended. But the one big thing that I was excited about is bringing it back, what they were going to bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, we still love these characters, and I still love Dexter Morgan as a collective whole. But this show has been phenomenal. The kid that they cast as his son, Harrison, I'm going to look it up real quick. I forget his name off the top of my head. But the kid that's playing Jack Alcott, who's playing Harrison, is brilliant in this show. And I love what he brings to the table. With just a few episodes left, it's easily one of my favorite shows of the year. It's fantastic. If you were a fan of the original, you will love this as well. Some nice little callbacks to some old characters in there as well. For me, coming in at number 3 was White Lotus. The one show that was about nothing, it felt like at most times, but at the same time, it's one of the most controversial shows I think of the year, because either people loved it or hated it, and there was just like there's no in between. But I don't know, there was something about Mike White's writing with the performances as well. Obviously, Murray Bartlett was just brilliant as Armin, and then of course Jennifer Coolidge, but the entire cast was strong. I don't know, it's one of those shows that you felt like nothing happened, but everything happened. And I think that's what it just every week felt like a spectacle. And it was one of the only shows, and now Dexter and Succession are two other ones that I watch weekly, but a lot of these shows that I have on here are very much binge worthy, right? They're all binge. Like they all released, all at the same time. You binge them at the same time, or I got an opportunity to watch it early and stuff like that. But White Lotus was the show for me. I don't know what it is. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. I don't know. I love the show. I can't wait for season 2. I'm excited for season 2 as well. Speaking of another show that I love so much, my number 2 show of the year is You. I love this show. Undeniably love for Joe Goldberg and love Quinn. I love their relationship. I love their writing. Some people may look at this show as like a trash type show, and it's my kind of trash if you feel that way. I love these characters. I love the show. I think the writing is actually really good on this. I love the little arc that they had between Joe and Love throughout this entire season that led up to the culmination of the final episode. The pieces, this was probably my favorite season of this show. They just had integral pieces that were really good. The supporting cast was even stronger this year than it had been in years past. But You season 3, I really can't wait for 4. But it's a fantastic show. It's well acted. Penn Badgley, Badgley, I guess I don't know how to say his name. It's Badgley, there we go. And my wife, Victoria Pedretti. Sorry, my wife at home here, but she won't listen to this, so we're good. But I just love their art, love their characters, and Netflix saving this from Lifetime is still one of my all-time favorite things because, well, then I wouldn't be able to watch the show. It's fantastic. So without further ado, your number 1 show of the year, Matthew Fox, is?
Yeah, so, ever since the Apple TV Plus launched, arguably the morning show was their flagship show that they launched with kind of the highest profile stars that they built around. But their best show for me since they launched is For All Mankind. It's an alternate space race. It begins with the space race with a fundamental shift that Russia got to space and got to the moon before the United States, and how that would have altered the timeline. So at the beginning, you start with a few more historical figures, but they built around these kind of fictional characters. And the first season was really engaging, but the second season, it just really took off. I love Joel Kinnaman in the lead role as Ed Baldwin, but Michael Dorman and Sarah Jones, who play Gordo and Tracy. Season 2 was a real showcase arc for their characters who went through a real journey. And that season finale, this second season is about the weaponizing of space and kind of the tensions, the Cold War tensions between America and Russia. And they just played it so well. And the season finale, which is called The Gray, is probably one of the best episodes I think I've ever seen. I was very dehydrated due to ocular fluid loss at the end of that episode. I think my wife came in and thought like half my family must have died. It felt that way because it's, your TV family. But I just loved it. And I think it's the real hidden gem for Apple TV. It launched at the same time when they made their launch in November of 2019. It's been kind of under the radar. It came out a little bit earlier in 2021, finally with the second season. Pandemic delayed a lot of things, and this one has a lot of high scale production stuff because it has to do with space. But I just really appreciate the performances and what they're doing with it.
I've never watched an episode of that show. I do remember whenever I saw season 2 dropped, I was like, maybe I'll watch the pilot after I watch season 1, and I just never got around to it. If I don't get around to watching a season 1 of a show, I typically never watch the series until after it's run its course, just because that means I just I just binge it and get over with and move on with my life. Now, my number one show of the year is a show that I loved. I didn't expect to love it the way that I ended up loving it. And I love this guy a whole lot. I love his work. I love his body of work. He's obviously my favorite comedian. I think he's hilarious. And seeing him in a different light was going to be interesting. I didn't know if he could pull it off to this extent. And he not only did he pull it off, but he blew me away. And that's True Story. Netflix's True Story is one of my it's one of my favorite TV shows that I've seen from Netflix in a long time. There's a lot of good stuff, and they come out with a lot of good stuff. But this was kind of that original content, kind of in line with Midnight Mass as well. I think two of my favorite shows of the year were definitely different. But Midnight Mass is something that we've seen like this before in some different aspects. Maybe not as dialogue driven, but it was still great. But for me, between Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes, I think their characters really – I think a lot of what made the relationship work was that brotherly relationship. And a lot of that stuff kind of reminds me of my brother and my relationship with my brother. So whenever we get that kind of situation in a TV or a movie, I really connect with it more deeply than I did elsewhere. But the performances are great. And I do think that there's some moments in it that really have some powerful, resonating moments that kind of stick with you. And the writing was very good with the twists and turns. Theo Rossi, who I think is a very underrated actor. I loved him in Sons of Anarchy. And I've seen him in little bits and pieces of roles here and there. But his role as Gene in this series was mind-blowing. And like I said, maybe it's not the best show of the year. And maybe people think I'm crazy for saying that. But I genuinely loved each episode. When I got the advanced screening of True Story, we binge watched all 7 episodes and we watched, I think, the first 5 in the first day, and then watched the last 2 the next day. It was that good. And it's a show that I can't wait to revisit myself either, because it is a fantastic show. I loved it a lot. I thought the writing was great. I thought that the acting was great. And the twists and turns really kind of stepped it up a notch. Sometimes when you have a show like that, when the twists and turns are kind of good, it kind of reminded me of Clickbait a little bit. The twists and turns were solid, but then the finale was just kind of woo. But the finale on True Story really blew me away. So I loved every bit of it. It was my favorite show of the year, hands down. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't care if they just never made a season of it. You know what I mean? I just maybe a one and done type of scenario. They might make another one because it's very popular. Obviously, it's got Kevin Hart. Anything with Kevin Hart's really attached to it, they really kind of bring back. But I loved it. I can't wait to revisit it because it's my favorite show of the year. But yeah, I don't know. I loved it. It's my favorite show. I'm trying to think. I was going to say, what show in 2021 are you excited to come back? But then I remembered I don't really know what shows are coming back. But Ozark's coming back. I do remember that because it comes out the day before my birthday or on my birthday, one of the two. And I love Ozarks. I'm very pissed that they're releasing the last season as 2 parts. I think they're doing 4 episodes and 4 episodes, which really makes me mad. That's not why I watch stuff on Netflix. I watch it to watch it all at once, Netflix. But I will watch it. Also, I'm still looking for redemption for the Golden Globes. Is it not Golden Globes? What is the
Emmys?
Emmys, that one, for snubbing Tom Pelphrey for his fantastic work in season 3 of the Ozarks. But anything that you're looking forward to before we wrap this up, Fox?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Stranger Things should be back. They keep promising it, but in 2022, it's supposed to definitely, maybe, possibly be back. Book of Boba Fett kind of launched here at the end of the year, but most of what we're going to get is in the new year. And I'm excited to see The Mandalorian come back, to see where we go, because Mandalorian season 2 was really good and left on a very powerful note that, there's a lot of ways it could go. I wasn't sure how it would go, so I'll be excited to see that when it comes back, and I'm sure HBO will throw out something that we'll be interested in at some point too, because they seem to never end of finding new stuff to suck you in. I forgot the Game of Thrones spinoff comes in 2022 too, House of the Dragon.
Yeah, HBO really every year always has that 1 or 2 shows that just come out of left field, and they're like, hey, This is a great show for you to watch. I don't think I finished Mayor of Westtown, Easttown, whatever. I didn't finish it. I watched the first couple episodes and I like it. Again, it's just one of those shows that didn't click with me. Man, there was another show. What was the other show on HBO that I really liked? There was another one that came out this year.
You did White Lotus and Succession were HBO shows. So.
Yeah, there was another one that I feel like I watched and I kind of enjoyed. And I don't even remember what show, HBO shows from 2021.
I mean, I always enjoy Curb Your Enthusiasm. You never know what you're going to get with that, but I thought it was good.
Now I'm just going to be mad. I'm going to be mad because now I can't remember what it was on HBO that I watched this year that I actually enjoyed and finished. And it's not that I didn't finish. I just never got to finish Mayor of Easttown. I didn't think it really blew me away. Hang on here. What do we got? TV shows. Come on. Hit me with the TV shows here. Originals. Yes, you guys are going to get this play-by-play while we're still live here. I don't remember. Was that this year? Hang on. That wasn't this year. Hang on. I really like Big Little Lies. Was season 2 this year or was that last year?
I think it was last year.
Yeah, see, I can't find it. I don't know. There was a show that came out this year that I really, really loved. One show that I haven't got a chance to watch yet, and I know it's really deep and it's super deep, is The Underground Railroad. I never got a chance to watch that. It's on my list to watch because I heard it's fantastic. I just haven't had a chance to really watch that one yet. Another one that I've heard that's a cheap binge watch is Sex Lives of the College Girls. I'll tell you what, I'm on season 2 of Sex Education. That shows I've had like 95 people tell me to watch that, and I'm on season 2 of that. I'm digging that. I just watch it in between. Yeah, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I'm just annoyed now because I can't find it. Maybe next year, Fox and I will come in and do some random TV shows for you guys throughout the year, where he talks about TV shows that he watches, and I just talk about the one that I watch a month. So, with that being said, make sure to head on over to the Music City Drive-In to check out all of Fox and I's content. My best of the year in your review sheet, the year in review post are coming.
Oh, Scenes from a Marriage. We both that was really close to making my.
I didn't watch that.
My top 10. Well, that was probably one of the biggest HBO ones I forgot about.
I didn't watch that one yet either. I know I need to. I got yelled at to watch that one. I just haven't had gotten around to watch that one yet. I don't even know what I'm talking. I'll probably remember it the moment I click out of this entire thing. But with that being said, make sure to head on over to the Music City Drive-In and check out Fox and I and everybody else's content over on the show. Happy New Year, because this will be released in the new year. But thank you so much for tuning in to us and the support throughout the entire year. Make sure to follow Matthew Fox on Twitter at Nighthawk7734. Follow myself at Ricky Valero _. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Go Cowboys.